What is up, my possum friends? Come one, come all. I would like to cordially invite you to the 2025 NFL season, brought to you by Offensive Points. I'm just kidding. We're not there yet, but we hope to one day. Today, we've got a two-round Dynasty Startup Draft. It is not going to be super flex, and it's not going to be tight end premium because we are OGs, and we like it that way. And sometimes, guys, Superflex kind of sucks. And I think we can all admit that. I know everyone's convinced themselves that Superflex is the Ferrari in the garage. It's not. It's not. It kind of just makes drafts boring. You know, teams have to panic to make up some shit. With normal fantasy football, you can create from blank canvas without being forced to take a tight end too early or a quarterback too early or a second quarterback too early. You can do whatever the hell you want, and that's what we're all about here on Offensive Points. I am here with Billy. Josh is preparing for Ozzy's first birthday and will not be joining us tonight. Billy, tell me about this pyramid of takes that you've got and just about how your day's been going so far.
So the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Joe, as we all watched on Sunday. You could have told me he was preparing for a birthday. You could have told me he was in jail awaiting bail on some Eagles celebration-related charges. I would have believed either one if you had said either one of why Josh isn't here today. But, you know, I've seen hangovers last a long time. 4 days after the Super Bowl, a little strong, but, you know, when your team wins
We're
the
in our
championship.
30s now, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, even 2 glasses of wine, you're done for the night and done for a couple of days. Yeah, so I have a pyramid of takes coming off of this Super Bowl that I would like to get to really quickly. And the last one, doozy. First one, not so bad, but we're going to start there first. The first, at the top of the pyramid, which is, I guess, I don't know. How do they do this? The top is the worst or the bottom is the worst? I don't know pyramid construction, Joe.
Well,
but
the bottom's got to be the strongest foundational take. So you got to start your foundation.
Okay. So I guess this is starting at the bottom of the pyramid, and we'll work our way up to the. I guess that's what they do in the food pyramid. The bottom pyramid of the pyramid is the Chiefs are getting a running back in this draft. I don't think that's any question in my mind after Sunday. And I understand everyone out there, like, it's really like, you know, it's a knee-jerk reaction. It scares me a little bit that Kareem Hunt through the entire playoffs was like the number one, and then they would slowly work Pacheco in. And I understand Pacheco is coming off an injury, so maybe that does play a role. But you would have thought that on Sunday things would have been going a little bit differently if they would have at least tried to do something in the run game. I know it wasn't working. Nothing was working for the Chiefs. So I'm not blaming the run game solely. However, I think we can all admit they're going to have to upgrade at the running back position. And we didn't really have them. I can't remember exactly where we had them in the tier list for running back needs. But I think after the Super Bowl, if you're not putting that up, moving it up one notch at least, I think you're making a mistake. I think the Chiefs are a team to watch in the running back, and I think that everybody should be after that running back whenever they take them.
I would absolutely agree. And they could even go in the first round. I mean, we discussed last time there could be 2, possibly 3 running backs in the first round. I don't know how much I believe that at this time, but the Chiefs absolutely need to get in that running because, I mean, clearly Pacheco wasn't healthy, but even when he's healthy, he could use some help. They have no one else on that team. I mean, Samaje Perine was their most fruitful running back in that game. So, I mean, he had the longest rush. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. And they have gotten away with Damian Williams 2 years ago, was the leading rusher in that Super Bowl. Probably should have won MVP, but we'll get to that at a different time. And then last year when they won, it was Mahomes was the leading rusher. So, I'm pretty sure, I think. I might now. No, it was him because everybody's like running backs don't matter. So I think we can rightfully say that they should definitely bring in a running back this offseason. So any running back that gets drafted to the Chiefs, I'm thinking it's a tier 1 option now. Probably going to be boosted up a lot in drafts.
Yep. And I think that every running back from here forward needs to give 10% of their paycheck to Saquon because he just reset the market for everybody. So now you're going to get your value back.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you bring that up because that leads perfectly into the middle of the pyramid.
Excellent.
Teams need to build around their line and running back. Who cares at what's quarterback? That is my observation going through this entire thing of the playoffs. Is I understand that like Saquon is a different animal, Derrick Henry's a different animal, but it kind of is proven fruit that like if a defense has to prepare for your running back, the quarterback can be a little not great. They can be mid potentially. Now Jalen Hurts played, in my opinion, out of his mind. Like that was incredible what he was able to do in that game. But I think the plan should be don't give your Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, whoever like a huge 52 Tagovailoa. Like don't give them a large contract. Build your O line, build the running game, and then whoever is a quarterback, we can fix that on the fly, kind of. And I think that is how teams should go building forward. I think this kind of bucked the trend of like, you don't necessarily need a quarterback to win these games because Josh Allen lost, Mahomes lost, Lamar lost. Like, I know Lamar had a running game, but still, like they lost. Don't need to build around a running. You need to build around a run game and an O line. The quarterback is not as, I don't know. I think we're out of the quarterback era is basically the end goal of this take.
Yeah. And this is definitely middle of the pyramid here because it's a little spicier in the first one because, just for general news, current events topics, Matthew Stafford, his brother-in-law signed with the Giants. There's like, hey, Stafford's going to go to the Giants, and Giants fans are booing this move. And I'm sorry, with the way the Giants are built, you've got Neighbors there, you've got Wandale. If you bring Stafford onto that team, you're immediately at least competitive. You have playoff aspirations. I'm not saying Matthew Stafford's Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, but if you put a guy like that on a team, you keep him upright and you give him weapons, you could very well win. Now, I absolutely agree with Saquon. I mean, he didn't do a whole lot in the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs were prepared for that. And kudos to them for slowing him down.
It was the threat of it, though.
It was the threat of it. And having those running backs, like you said, is incredible. And we went away from that for 3-4 years now. And the NFL talked themselves into running backs don't matter. And then what happened this year? You saw Derrick Henry light it up. You saw James Cook light it up. You saw Saquon Barkley absolutely destroy it. Jahmyr Gibbs. All of these playoff teams had very strong running backs. And to talk about the Rams, Kyren Williams absolutely killed it as well. So you have to have a running back. You have to have a decent line. And we're going to go right back to old school football. Ebb and flow as always.
Yeah, because the thought process has been for the last, couple of years is let's get the Mahomes model. You're not going to get the Mahomes model. It's not a thing. So you got to think differently. And that's what the Eagles have done. That's what the Lions have done. It appears to be what the Commanders are like. I mean, they're ahead of schedule, but that appears to be what they're going to try to do. Like we gotta think differently than like, hey, we need generational quarterback play out of yada yada. No. Be smarter. That's why we don't give Trevor Lawrence, the $40 million deal. That's why we don't give Dak Prescott. That's why we don't give Tua. These guys aren't going to bear fruit for you because you cannot build the team around them because they're not. They would be great on a good roster, but with a bad roster, they're going to be average to not good. Like Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if he's even top 15 right now in the league, and that's just kind of where we're at. And he's got a humongous deal that doesn't really make any sense right now. So Brock Purdy is going to be a victim of this, by the way, because they should not pay him, and they should pay all the players around him. So I don't know. I think we should have taken the lesson for San Francisco. By the way, they got to the Super Bowl, and it had nothing to do with Brock Purdy. Or it shouldn't. We should have taken the lesson of like, not Brock Purdy isn't that good, but he still got there to the Super Bowl. Like we should have seen that lesson from a mile away. But
yeah. Oh well. Just two thoughts on what you're saying here. I mean, the air raid nonsense and all that stuff made a lot of sense, but now these defenses are playing in nickel 70% of the time. They've got converted safeties playing linebacker. It's a totally different game now. It's not as effective as it used to be. And I think what we're going to see is the strong running back and mobile quarterback connection is going to, that's all anyone's going to want anymore. So we saw how effective it was this year and how effective it should be moving forward.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Finally,
Let's
we're
hear
at
it.
the top of the pyramid. This is the spiciest take.
The all-seeing eye.
Yeah. Joe, the Patrick Mahomes era is over.
What?
I think what we didn't see, he's going to be 30 in September, and I think what we didn't notice as time was passing is that his peak was 2 years ago. That was the mountaintop, what we got from Mahomes 2 years ago. And the last two, we have just been coasting the wave before the crash. And I think we're rounding a corner here. And for fantasy, I don't even want him on my team at all, by the way. Like, he completely gone. Don't want him there at all. I think it might be over. And I hate to say that because, like, he's a very good player, and they could definitely make it back to the Super Bowl. I just don't see this dominance lasting, but maybe a couple more years.
I gotta chew on that for a minute. It's a bitter taste, right? I will say that you could literally hear Tom Brady's butthole like relax. It wasn't so puckered up during that whole broadcast because, I mean, everyone wrote it off that he was going to break every one of Brady's records, and I think Brady realized that Mahomes isn't going to win this one. He's going to lose in terrible fashion, and that's not good. Okay, counterpoint to what you're saying. Okay. I don't think you're wrong at all. Could this be the resurgence of the Patrick Mahomes we used to see? Because they had they won 2 years in a row. Third year went in. The Eagles clearly wanted that more. Could this reignite the hunger that Patrick Mahomes has? Because he's been doing a lot of stuff in the community, owning soccer teams, shooting commercials. Andy Reid's been plastered everywhere. Do you think this recenters his focus? I mean, because we saw that throw he had to Xavier Worthy. Granted, I think it was Quinion guarding him, was taking a early vacation. He was not really playing that hard. But I think Patrick Mahomes is still there. And I would honestly say it's a buying opportunity for Patrick Mahomes, but you're still going to be paying name value price for it, which is worrisome. But that's interesting, man. I don't think you're wrong. But
so I do, like, I know that people are going to hear that and they're going to be like immediately like just pouring haterade all over me. I get it. I'm not saying that he's going to be bad or that they're done in the Super Bowls, like, for the next, even the next like 2 or 3 years. I still think the AFC has there's a gulf there between like the best team. Like, if he was in the NFC, the window is shut because there's no way the Lions, Commanders, Eagles, like there's no way he's getting through that army. But, like, I don't know, Lamar and Josh Allen, they just can't do it. The teams are just not built to win these games. But the NFC teams have gotten so juggernaut that, like, I don't think he would make it through that. But the AFC, he still can win these games. He won close games the whole season, will beat all of these, semi-bad teams the whole season, and he can still win those. I mean, when they have to, when push comes to shove. I just think the issue is, like, Travis Kelce's clearly done. I mean, he's probably got to play, but he's done. Chris Jones did not look good. Their O-line is in shambles. I know you saw this stat. The Eagles never had to actually rush the passer at any point in time. Blitz. They were winning with 4 the entire evening. That is a humongous concern because we didn't even really consider that the O-line was going to be that big of an issue until then. But, like, I just don't see, with the way that this team is built currently, that it's getting better. Now, there's a lot they can do. And I've heard a lot of people say, by the way, that the Chiefs' weapons were, like, complete garbage. But, like, I'm sorry. Hollywood Brown, the end of DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, like, I don't think this was bad. I would not say that this was the worst receiving core in the entire league. Like, there's no way you would have convinced me of that. And by the way, they could have done something about that too. By the way, it's not, not that every analyst out there, especially fantasy, has been begging them to go after any of these wide receivers that are free agents, but they're like, we're fine. We got this. I don't think they do.
No. It's interesting, man. I mean, you bring up a good point with Chris Jones. Trey Smith's a free agent. We'll see what happens there. See if Pacheco's healthy. Eric Reed's a free agent. Nick Bolton's a free agent. Hopkins, Hollywood. Okay. What if they just throw it out there, let everyone go, and this team goes all in on T. Higgins for Patrick Mahomes? We'll see if Rashee Rice is going to.
Well, here's the thing: they're going to have to like that.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is that they're going to have to completely overhaul this thing to make it worthy to be back here again. Because I get it, they were like 14-2, and they ran through. You know, I wouldn't say they ran through the playoffs, but they did their usual stuff through the playoffs. I'm concerned going forward that this is not going to look like this every year. Like, how many times can you dance with the devil before something happens that's not right? And I don't know. I just like that. That is my super spicy take coming off of this. But like I said, for fantasy, I am completely done. I don't see it getting better with Matt Nagy there for sure. Oh. And Andy Reid's been like. Here's the thing: when everybody's like, "Well, Matt Nagy's there," but Andy Reid's calling the plays. The offense was trash. Like, okay, if Andy Reid's calling the plays, maybe we hand it over to not Matt Nagy, but like somebody else. Like, clearly that's an issue, right? Like, if he's the one calling these plays,
the last 2 years, aside from Mahomes' magical nonsense last year, but damn, dude, I think I might have been on a Super Bowl hangover because you kind of get in this mindset like, oh, next year's the same old Chiefs, but then the AFC West is getting stronger.
The only problem with my thing is that the AFC as a whole is still what I would consider like a tier down. Like the Bills, I don't consider them the second best team. The Ravens, I have no clue what more to do for them. Like on this offseason, zero clue. Like what, give them another wide receiver? What's that going to help? Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't appear. So like, I don't know. I have no clue how to help them. And like the Bills is the number 2. Like I didn't think that was a good roster at the jump. And I just think Josh Allen doesn't have it. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't have it.
MVP, man.
Yeah. Exciting, but
I like it, man. It's spicy. It definitely made me think about this whole,
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like we should have our eyes open. Because literally, Joe, the 4th best team this year in the AFC was the Texans. Like that's all you need to know about like how like the gulf between the Chiefs and everyone else is.
All year. I know it was unlucky and their team fell apart and a bunch of injuries, but God. Yeah, the Texans are 4th. Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Wide open.
So, yeah, and then after that was what? The Chargers, Steelers, Broncos. I don't think any of those teams could beat the Chiefs as they currently stand with Mahomes. It's just the AFC's down right now. And Mahomes, as good as he is, it's kind of like LeBron when he was winning all those, like he would win the East every year. And it's like, well, there's no good East team. Well, the AFC is kind of in that right now, which good for Mahomes. He's won 3 titles, right? 4? 3, 4. I don't know how many, but yeah. So it's like more power to him. Like he's won them. So I can't take him away. But yeah, so I don't know. Just going forward, I think it's something we need to think about. I just had a little pyramid of thoughts coming off that Super Bowl of like, maybe things
I'm here for
the time. Maybe the times are changing, as Bob Dylan would say. Man, we're referencing Bob Dylan. It's an old podcast. All right, let's get on to this 2-round mock draft that we want to do for Dynasty Startup. A lot of Dynasty leagues might be starting up now with the rookie draft right around the corner. Might get rookies. I know everybody's going to start getting their 1,000 invites to start new startups or to take over teams potentially. I just kind of wanted to, do a little level setting session of like where we think players would go based on, where we sit right now. This is prior to free agency and everything. And we're not doing super flex because like, oh yeah, quarterbacks the entire first round. Like, okay, I get it. Like, it's fine. It just makes it kind of not as fun when we do it like that.
When you're talking about Stroud or Herbert in the second round, it's not good radio.
Yeah, definitely not. Okay, so I guess we're just going to do a like back and forth thing. Joe, I'll let you have pick number 1. And I guess, do you want to include rookies in this, or do you not want to include rookies in this? Like, I didn't plan on it, but just in case you did.
I think there's one, maybe 2 rookies in general to have in this discussion here. So I will include rookies, if that's cool with you.
But, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let's include rookies in this one. And as far as the number 1 goes, it's Ja'Marr Chase, 24 years old. He's tied to Joe Burrow for the foreseeable future. If Higgins is there, if Higgins is not there, it does not matter. And he just had a phenomenal season. So I think Ja'Marr Chase at 1 is going to be my pick every single time.
Yeah, I think, it's not complicated to understand why he is who he is. When he was coming out of the draft, or when he was at LSU, he was by far and away the best wide receiver there. Now, Justin Jefferson happened to come out a year earlier than him, so he was able to easily steal all the headlines with how good of a receiver he was right away. And people are like, well, I don't know if Ja'Marr Chase is going to be that in the NFL. We haven't seen that yet. And then he gets there, he can't play with the right ball or whatever people were freaking out about before they actually put on the pads. But I think push comes to shove. I think we've seen that there is Ja'Marr Chase 1, Jefferson 2. He turns 25 in March. So, I mean, that's still a great age. I mean, the breakout age is 27, 28. So you still got at least 2 or 3 years of very, very quality. I mean, maybe not even his peak yet is what we've seen, which is crazy to think he just won a Triple Crown in receiving this year. And he could potentially not even be where he's going to be. It's just insane to think he's tied to Joe Burrow, who's a top 5 quarterback. Far and away, Joe, I don't think you could take a better person right now than Ja'Marr Chase. He is the most locked in value. Redraft as well, I think. I think that's who we had at number 1 as well there, except for Josh and his Eagles homer nonsense. But the unbiased crowd saw that Ja'Marr Chase is number 1. So, yeah, good pick. Ja'Marr Chase, number 1 off the board in Dynasty startup. I don't think anybody will regret that at any point in time. All right, number 2 is his LSU teammate who I just brought up, Justin Jefferson. He's shown clearly, Joe, that he is quarterback proof. Now, what happens if he actually gets a great quarterback eventually? I don't know. Don't know what that looks like because we haven't seen it yet.
2,000 yards.
He's going to be 26 in July, which means we still haven't, same thing I was talking about with Chase. We're still yet to see maybe what his peak looks like. The only concern I have for him, and why I would take him just slightly below Chase, is I don't know how bad of a quarterback could we give him before it starts making a real dent in his play. We haven't seen it yet because we thought Sam Darnold would be terrible, and Sam Darnold elevated his play perfectly. But now it looks like they might be going with JJ, who they drafted last season, McCarthy. Does it remain the same? I don't know. I'm not going to doubt him because he's proven us wrong. But what's your thoughts on that?
No, I'm with you completely. I mean, Justin Jefferson, like you said, quarterback proof. We'll see with McCarthy. I mean, I don't think the Vikings can just hand the keys to him at all. I mean, this is a great Stafford landing spot if they were going to make a trade, in my opinion.
True.
But yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson is as talented as you could possibly be at the wide receiver position. He's young. He's a star in the league. He does it all. I mean, the thing with Ja'Marr Chase and Justin Jefferson is they do it all. Contested catches, route running, deep shots. I mean, the way they play is just different than any other wide receivers out there. So, yeah, Justin Jefferson is easily the number 2 for me. The quarterback position, very scary, and we shall see. But, I mean, it's not enough to talk me out of him at number 2.
Okay. Number 2 is Justin Jefferson. Joe, who are you going with at number 3?
Oh, man, this is when it gets fun. I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb. I like wide receivers in dynasty startups. He gets Dak back. He's in Dallas for the foreseeable future. So, and he's just going to be an absolute target hog. I mean, even if they go out and draft a wide receiver early or a running back early, there is not enough on this team to take a substantial amount away from CeeDee Lamb, and he's extremely talented. So, CD is my pick at 3.
Yeah, I mean, no real problem with that pick. I think these are all kind of what would be the chalk picks, but look, they're chalk for a reason. 25 right now, kind of following the same thing as Justin Jefferson. They came out in the same draft, which is that draft's going to go down as one of the wildest drafts because there are people, we're going to look back in like 5 years and be like, see, you're telling me CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson weren't the first two wide receivers taken in that draft? Like neither of them went as the first two receivers. It was who? It was Henry Ruggs, a felon, and dude that I can't remember his name, Rager.
Oh yeah, Jalen. I was
Jalen Rager.
I was like, yeah,
that's who it was. Jalen Rager went before CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. No, Jerry Jeudy. It was not Jalen Rager. I am out of my mind. I'm losing it. It's Jerry Jeudy that went before them, and CeeDee Lamb went third. So, yeah, kind of a tough beat. At the time, it didn't look nuts. Looking back, it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I can't say I didn't tell anybody so because I was on both the I was not on the Justin Jefferson, although I watched him throw up like 5 touchdowns against Oklahoma in one football game. I could not have possibly seen him being as good as he is right now. So, yeah, wild draft that couple of years there.
I can't believe CD went 17.
Yeah, no. To me, it was bonkers when it was happening.
Yeah, but you know what? Rager was right after him, right before Jefferson.
You know the issue with that draft was it was during COVID. So like none of what would normally be happening was happening. So it like kind of like threw a wrench into like the process, I think. Slightly. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we still saw the combine that year. I can't remember. When the whole thing happened like that. But yeah, weird draft. But CeeDee Lamb number 3, solid pick. On to number 4, I think for me, this is where I'm like, there's like 2 names that I'm looking at really heavily, and I'm going to stick with my gut. Going wide receiver again, going Malik Neighbors from the Giants.
Yeah.
I only have him slightly over Bijan. I don't know what you're going to go next. I'm not going to try to influence what you're going to do. You can do whatever you want. But I think what Malik Neighbors showed this year is that he's got all of the makings of the next great Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. Like I see the mold in there. Now, he has proven, and not necessarily because of him, that he might be quarterback proof. But he played with Daniel Jones, and he still got over, 1,200 yards? Like, that's nothing to sneeze at, what he was able to do with god-awful quarterbacks. I would consider those both worse than Sam Darnold. Oh, yeah. So what he was able to do, and given he was targeted, an outrageous amount of times, but when you have a receiver like that, it's kind of the strategy, right? Like you just throw it to him as many times as possible. And I think going forward, that's kind of what you're going to be at. I could hear the argument out that Malik Neighbors should be higher on this list. Like if somebody took him at number 2 or number 3 ahead of CeeDee, I wouldn't actually argue it. I mean, he's younger than all of them. You're going to have him longer if you plan on your dynasty league staying around for years. I mean, you've got a receiver right there that's probably, having had the worst season he's ever going to have, barring any injuries, like that he's ever going to have once they address the quarterback position. So I think Malik Neighbors is an easy number 4, and you could argue him higher, but I think safety-wise, we'll keep him at number 4.
Yeah, there were a lot of ways you can go with this one, but just to agree with you on this one, I will absolutely agree with you on this one because I was pounding my chest last year for people to draft Malik Neighbors, and we were not let down. You were. We were not let down. I'm just saying, how much I love this guy. So take him at 4. You've got a wide receiver forever. You have a wide receiver 1, younger than Chase, younger than Jefferson, younger than CeeDee, and he's gonna take you into the future with it. So
you know what my issue was, and why I'm now looking back, I should have just smacked my forehead when we were doing this. Was I didn't realize how good Jaden Daniels was. I thought Jaden Daniels was going to be a quarterback that once he got to the league, he was going to flame out, not be great. I mean, he was going to get drafted high, but I didn't expect him to come in and be amazing right away. But maybe they just kind of held them back being at LSU. Maybe if they had been on, Ohio State or one of these really, really good college programs, maybe it would have been a completely different story. They would have been fighting for a national championship. But when they were at LSU, it's okay. They're losing 4 games, not great. Like all these guys, like they should be better than this if they are better than this. And I think I was just fooled. I mean, all of us, I think, were fooled. But like I consider myself like pretty tapped into college. I was completely fooled at how good these guys were just because of I didn't know it, but LSU was holding them all back. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, just the wide receivers they've put out recently and the team they had with Jaden Daniels. I mean, the fact that they did not win is asinine to me.
Yeah. Some of these, it just doesn't make any sense of like, why wasn't that team better?
Well, it's like that point you made about Iowa State way back when they had Montgomery and Purdy, and like, how did they not do anything? Yeah, and Brees. That shit's wild. But no, Malik Neighbors is awesome, and he's only, he's going to be a fine wine. It's going to get better with age here.
Agreed. Agreed.
All right. I'm going to go a little weird on number 5 here. We're going to have, could we have 4 LSU wide receivers in the top 5?
Really?
No, I'm going to switch it up here.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, okay.
I do. I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs as my number 5. He's younger than Travion Henderson, or he's the same age as Travion Henderson at this point in the draft, 22 years old. What Jahmyr Gibbs did this year was electrifying. I mean, he had all those breakaway runs. He looked like mini Saquon out there, not to quote Saquon's name here, but Jahmyr Gibbs is fantastic. I do not like the fact that Monty is signed there for as long as he is, but Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy that can score at any point in the field and win you your matchup single-handedly. So I love the stability that a guy like Bijan Robinson offers you, but as far as the home run hitting, Jahmyr Gibbs is just ridiculous, and I will take him. Again, I don't like taking running backs early, but someone like this, I absolutely will.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm a little interested to see what happens now that they lost the offensive coordinator to your Bears. We'll see if it's. I mean, I assume it should just be like, hey, come in and just kind of do what they did. Like, you'll be fine. You don't have to do your own new plays. But I am interested to see what that looks like, if there's any kind of effect at all on the Lions as a whole. Because we did see when the Eagles lost their offensive coordinator to Indianapolis, did kind of take like a little bit to like re-gel together weirdly. So I'm interested to see what it is. But I think Gibbs, out of anyone on the offense, I think he is the one that I'm like least worried about as far as their offense is concerned, because he just seems like he's going to run a 60-yard touchdown literally any play that he touches the ball. So yeah, it's a good pick.
Definitely a little
worthy of being running back 1.
Awesome. Write him
worthy
down.
of being running back 1. Okay. Now, normally I would just follow up with the running back I've already mentioned. However, I'm also going to go a little bit weirder with mine as well. Not going with the LSU wide receiver. Going to go with a BYU wide receiver. We're going to go with Puka Nacua. I think with the Cooper Kupp demise that has been set in stone, which is wild, by the way, that the Rams are just like, yeah, we're not bringing you back, so you like get a trade or we'll cut you, like whatever. This man won you all a Super Bowl pretty much on his back. Like, I get that Stafford won the MVP, but it should have probably been Kupp based on what he was able to do in that game. And you're just unceremoniously like throwing him out like with the trash. That's insane.
We got Jordan Whittington. Get the hell out of here, Cooper.
Yeah, no kidding. DeMarcus Robinson. It's like, what are you even doing? What are you even doing here, bum? Like, give your key card back and get out of here. So my pick for this is Puka Nacua, because he is clearly the new golden child. All right, I will preface this pick with there's a little bit of buyer beware. The man plays like a gladiator in a coliseum with how many hits that he takes every game. Every hit looks like he's broken a rib. Like, clearly his hip is out of place. He's dislocated something. Every play looks like that for him. He gets hit in the head more than anyone in the world. However, when he's playing football and when he's actually out there, he's fire. He's a very good wide receiver. And I think that with as long as McVay's there, whoever they bring in at quarterback, I'm not concerned. They're getting the ball to Puka Nacua as much as possible and then sprinkling in the rest of these guys. But I think Puka is going to be a target magnet now that Cooper Kupp is not going to be there to siphon anything off.
You're absolutely right about that. The trade rumors with Stafford are interesting to me. That's kind of the only thing that I have the trepidation about Puka for. I mean, he averaged 22.1 points per game after he came back last year, which was right behind Saquon and Jamar Chase. So if everything goes to plan, I mean, he's a top 3 player, I think, going
Don't you
forward
think
here.
though? It doesn't like McVay doesn't care. Like it's like whoever we bring in. Like he brought Baker in. He's like, all right, let's. I guess Baker's gonna do this. Whatever. Like that one year, I just like
You are right about that.
he's the one person I'm not worried about because like he knows what he wants and he's gonna find the player that fits that mold up
Yeah.
clearly because that's how the Rams have been going. Maybe not so much like defensively. There's a little I don't know some holes there, but like overall on offense, I trust that he knows what he's doing as far as the quarterback position goes.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I mean, we did our redraft rankings. I had Puka at like 3 or 4. I can't remember for redraft. So I'm with you. I would consider at this point, I would consider Bijan, but not strongly enough to talk us out of picking him here.
Yeah. Puka, number 6. Again, buyer beware. Plays like I don't even know what, like a battering ram. Like every time he just, maybe that's what I should call him. He's the battering ram because he just hits everything with his head. It feels like every time.
Oh, all right. Yeah, he
Number
really
7,
is,
Joe.
man. He's now that you bring that up, I never really put 2 and 2 together, but definitely a gladiator. All right, number 7, I am going on. 3rd year in the league. Zach Robinson is convinced that Bijan Robinson is Todd Gurley, and he continues to play him like Todd Gurley, and he goddamn looks like Todd Gurley. So he's going to be their offense moving forward, especially as Penix continues to develop. So yeah, I love Bijan.
Yeah, there's no worry here. The Tyler Algier thing's a little interesting, but I actually like weirdly enough, I think Tyler Algier should go to a different team. I think he could actually be a starter on a different team. I understand if he like wants the loyalty play and like wants to be the David Montgomery to Bijan's Jahmyr Gibbs. I get that. If that's the route they want to go, I'm perfectly fine with that. But if Tyler Algier wants to like maximize his ability, I would like test free agency when it comes up. I think he's still under contract this year. I think he's got one more, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's a free agent in 26.
Yeah.
One of my
like,
favorite dynasty buys right now, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, might test the waters next season because I think he's better than what he's been able to show. But yeah, Bijan's easy here. I think that this offense is going to be much better. I don't think Michael Penix is going to be necessarily a threat to take away much. I think what we're going to see from Michael Penix is kind of like the game manager style Bo Nix thing, where like he's doing these plays, but it's not like he's throwing 40 times a game, which I think Bo Nix did do that a couple times this season, but I don't think that's what the Atlanta Falcons want Michael Penix to do. I think they want him to be a game manager, mostly hand the ball off to your all-star running back, and then just kind of let the passes flow where they may.
Yeah, that's it. The interesting thing with Algier, though, is this year, like for the first 4 or 5 games, it was kind of what we saw last year with the two of them. And then all of a sudden they were just like 85% Bijan every time. And then it was like, oh, okay, this is what we thought was going to happen, but never did. And now it's happening. So,
yeah. Interesting.
I'm interested to see where you go.
I don't
here.
know. I mean, I definitely had my some people are saying about Bijan early, but he proved him wrong. He proved that some people are saying wrong. I like that bit, by the way, that some people are saying. It's my way of like hiding behind this random crowd of people on Twitter that I don't know that are just saying things about players. It's a good bit. And I'll continue to do it too. I love doing the some people are saying. All right, at number 8, it's a little bit of a risky pick, I think, but you can't knock what he's done so far. So I don't think I'm going to disrespect him. I'm going to do Amon-Ra. I'm a little concerned about what this offense looks like. Is Jared Goff going to be the same guy? He is getting up there in age, but just based off what Amon-Ra has done, I don't think that I can take away what his ability is. I get that Jameson Williams is there and he's going to siphon away targets. Do think he's a great dynasty buy too, Jameson Williams, but I think with Amon-Ra, I think you're getting like a steady floor, and when you're buying you're drafting your first round, in Dynasty, you kind of need a guy that you can anchor your team around. And I do think he is a guy that you can anchor your team around. I'm not necessarily worried because I've seen it for a couple of years. It's like the stock market. Like you're buying into a good stock. Now, it might not go up and down a whole lot, but like it's not going to boom
Right.
at any point, maybe. But it's definitely going to stay, earning you a little bit of money and interest each year, like a little bit here
You're
and there.
buying silver, right?
Exactly. That's
Silver's
exactly what I'm
just that
saying.
steady Eddie. You get that Honolulu blue and silver, and then that's your commodity for the year on that. But no, Amon-Ra is absolutely insane. In fact, some of those stupid little lateral backs that he had to Gibbs and JMO, those probably could have been touchdowns for Amon-Ra on a couple of those.
Yeah.
So he got robbed a little bit. The cast is still there. The all-star offense he is going to be the pass catcher of the group. So yeah, I'm with you on Amon-Ra. I'm not going to argue too much. There's a name I kind of wanted to throw in, but we'll get to him.
Okay. Number 9, Joe.
It's BTJ. It's absolutely BTJ. I know that Kirk was hurt. I know that Ingram was hurt. I know the whole year was screwy. Etienne was screwed up. This offense, especially with Liam Cohen there, I'm sorry, Liam Cohen is not going to make BTJ worse.
Yeah.
I mean, look what he did with Mike Evans. Look what he did with Chris Godwin. BTJ is not going to get worse. I mean, if anything, having those guys on the field might allow him to have a couple more of those deep balls that we got so used to seeing last year. So BTJ absolutely is in the first round of your dynasty startups, and do not let anyone talk you out of that.
Yeah, I mean, thank God Josh isn't here because he would be like, what? But, I think if you're drafting players right now for a dynasty startup, you can't go wrong with Brian Thomas. I can't see a world where Liam Cohen is not building this offense around Brian Thomas. I just cannot even fathom that world. If you're going to take over, seeing what you have there, I mean, if you're going to keep Christian Kirk, that's fine. Maybe put him in the Godwin role, but you put him in the Mike Evans role, and you just let Trevor Lawrence get him deep, get him often, get him in the end zone or in the red zone. That's what you use him for. He's much younger, and he's just about the same. Can be the same player, I think, except, he's 10 years ago Mike Evans as opposed to who Mike Evans is now. Yeah, I have
You're exactly right.
no worries here at all. I think Cohen knows what he's doing, and this is it's a good spot for him.
22-year-old Mike Evans is who you purchase right now, is who you acquire for your team.
Correct. Okay, on to pick number 9, and I'm just gonna go out and say it, Joe. This is the break I have in my tiers of now. If you're man, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I understand because you can make a case for the next 6 players on any list that you watch, and you would be like, yeah, I could talk myself into that. I'm just going to go for the now win, and I'm going to go Saquon Barkley. I do think that he's got at least 2 more years under the tank that are going to be very, very good, and I think potentially past that he could still, I don't know how as effectively, but I do think you're going to get, quite a bit of something behind that. And the main reason is the Philadelphia Eagles, if they keep him and they continue to keep up what their O-line has been, you're going to have a running back behind a really good O-line for the next 3 years. That's something money can't buy. He is 28. He just had a birthday on the Super Bowl. So I understand the trepidation with how old he is, but I just think of the quality win now mode of yourself. You're going to be good to try to win now. Not you're going to have to play that like it is, but I think if you're going to try to build a win now roster, Saquon Barkley is a good pick, and I would pick him at number 10, and I would just have to be knowing the rest of my roster is going to be filled with Mike Evans and stuff, guys that are trying to win right now.
No, absolutely. I mean, we play fantasy football to win, right? I mean, that's the whole reason we play this. So Saquon's an absolutely good pick. I'm going to go with Ashton Jeanty here because I know that as soon as you get on Sleeper and you see a team name next to his blurb, he's probably going to be vaulted up above Brian Thomas, above Amon-Ra. Not for me personally necessarily, but this is what's going to happen in your drafts. If the Cowboys draft this dude, the sky's the limit. He could be going at number 3. He could be going ahead of Gibbs in your dynasty startup drafts.
What if he
Because
goes to
he
the
is that
Falcons, Joe?
If he goes to the Falcons, just take your top 10 and wipe 2 names off of it, 20% of it. No, I mean, when you're looking at the teams that could take him, you got the Saints. We know Kamara's tenure is coming to an end. He might stick around for another year, but from then on, you got Jeanty. And Chicago, Ben Johnson, you've seen what he did with Jahmyr Gibbs. Dallas needs it. I mean, the Chargers need this. I mean, there's so many teams right now that there are like 5 really, really good landing spots for running back this year. And I guarantee you he goes to one of them. So, in my opinion, it's 10. So we can flip a coin on that one if you want. Or was that your pick? That was your pick. So we can.
I mean, we could put Jeanty at 11. That's fine.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with here. We're just going back and forth. No problem. I think that the way that this would shake out in real life, that's honestly not like, it's kind of like not buyer beware, but like you're buying something unseen and, you don't know where he's going to land yet, but you're just banking on the fact that a team that needs a running back is going to be drafting him in the first round. And I mean, I'm not going to fight anybody on that. If that's what you think is going to happen, then go get him. And, you're going to have the next Cowboys running back for the next 10, 15 years. So no, I think that's actually a really good pick. I don't have no problem with that at all. All right, let's round out the top of the first round with a pick number 12. Plenty of different options we can go with here, Joe. I'm a little nervous about all of them. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna go Nico Collins. I know that you don't believe in him, Joe. I know your heart of hearts that you have an issue with Nico compared to the rest of these guys. He did have a really late breakout, but he's only 25. I think that there's something redeeming about that, as we may not have seen the best of him. He does need to stay healthy, but I do think if you take Nico Collins, you're not in the worst shape ever. I do think that you could afford to have him as your, as the 12th pick, as the end of the first round, especially if it's a snake draft, you're getting the next pick in the second round. I'm not worried at all about this. Like, take Nico Collins and make dividends.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm definitely lower on Nico in redraft than I am in Dynasty. I know that sounds weird, but I think in Dynasty you're buying talent, right? You're buying what the player should be and could be. And we saw a really weird Houston Texans team last year. So I'm not completely off of Nico, and I'm definitely not going to fight you for that pick there. The way he started the season was unbelievable. So I'm with you.
Okay. Well, then where are you headed next?
This one's going to be controversial.
Second round.
First pick in the second round, because a lot of people hate this guy, and they need to change their mind on him very quickly. It's Breece Hall. Breece Hall was the top 5 pick last year in Dynasty. He was absolutely phenomenal. And honestly, after the injury and all that conundrum with whatever the hell was going on in the middle of the season with the Jets, Breece came back and looked pretty good. He is a phenomenal pass catcher. He's going to be the offense. I mean, we don't know who the hell is playing quarterback for this team next year. So it's not like they're going to lean on Devontae Adams, because he's probably not going to be there. Garrett Wilson's pissed. And I mean, we'll see if we ever get it from Garrett Wilson, but Breece Hall is the team. And I know Braylon Allen looked cool. I actually think Isaiah Davis looked better than Braylon Allen, but they cancel each other out, and you have Breece Hall. He is your offense for the foreseeable future. So I'm really tired of the hate that Breece Hall is getting right now.
No, I mean, on one hand, I agree with you. On the other hand, I need to see something first. They just got a defensive head coach, which, by the way, everyone out there that goes and gets a defensive head coach, look at the teams that are winning in the NFL right now, and I don't know, maybe we realize that the winning teams are offensive head coaches right now, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. I can't knock it. I mean, Breece Hall's a good player, and I think coming off of the injury, a lot of people were kind of shaken by his performance this year. But I mean, we've heard from a multitude of doctors now that, like, hey, the first year after is going to be a little rough, but the next year you're going to be completely back to normal. And so I think that's exactly what you're going to be getting from Breece Hall at this point.
Yeah, I think with Nico and Breece, I mean, we have to stop being so reactionary, especially in Dynasty. Because I guarantee you could probably get Nico and Breece for pretty decent prices right now. The whole team was bad for both of these guys. It was a horrible year. I mean, even BTJ, I know he's a hot name right now, but everyone just is like, oh, Trevor Lawrence is the worst. CJ Stroud is, worse than we thought he was going to be. These teams had really weird years. And I think out of all these teams, the Jets probably have the hardest mountain to climb to get back to the top here, but I'll take the running back on a decent team. I know a lot of people would argue that, but
that's fair enough. Okay, so basically, Team 12 has Nico and Breece Hall. If we're gonna build these teams around like who the players have, so the next team would have Ashton Jeanty, and I'm gonna pair him up with, and I know that a lot of people are not gonna agree with this pick, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm going Brock Bowers. I like Brock Bowers a whole lot. I think he's going to be the focal point of the Raiders offense for many years to come. I know we've heard a lot of names being speculated as added to the Raiders, but I think with anybody you bring in there as from an offensive coordinator standpoint is going to have to realize what you have with Brock Bowers. He can pass the ball. He can run the ball. He can catch 30 balls a game for 100 and whatever yards. And I just think I'm not going to say he's going to be the next great Gronkowski, Kelsey. Like I don't know if we're gonna go that far just yet, but as a unique weapon and a guy that you're gonna get totally good value out of, and realizing this team's about to punt on wide receiver altogether at this point, I think I would be comfortable going with Brock Bowers. You're getting the best young tight end coming up right now.
I'm glad you said it, man. I mean, personally, I would have picked a 1 year younger AJ Brown here, but yeah, no, it's Brock Bowers. He is an absolute stud. And anchoring your team with a tight end, especially if you have Jeanty at this point, getting your tight end that you're going to have for the next 9-10 years, assuming he continues to play, fantastic. We saw how that worked out with people that had Kelsey. And I think he might be one of the best examples. But if you hit on a tight end, they last a long time. I love it.
Okay. Who are you going with to match with Saquon Barkley?
Well, in my rankings, I would have AJ Brown here.
I was about to say you're thinking about Eagles back to back.
Yeah.
Joe, I've been there.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go Bucky Irving, man. I am
whoa. Okay,
I am so sold on what I saw from him last year. Rachaad White's being rumored on being traded out of there. When they finally committed to Bucky, I mean, he was awesome, and I think that this team is only going to get better. Liam Cohen can fuck off and go to Jacksonville. Duval. I love Bucky Irving, and I'm buying at that price.
Wow. I had his name as one of my picks later on, but he's gone now, so I guess we could just talk about him. Wow. Okay. I love Bucky Irving. Like, anywhere you can get him now, trading-wise, like, pay now, because – again, like we say this every year, but like his value is never going to be as low as it is right now. Like, it's only going to go up as the days go on. And as soon as like free agency's over with possible trades and whatnot, like he could easily be a top 5 back by the end of the year, which I mean, I guess I don't even know where we have him right now in Dynasty. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'd be our 6th running back. Which is already like wild to think about, just like putting that into context. But like he could be higher than that for sure. But it's just what I would have never thought when the Bucks drafted him, or even when he was coming out of the draft, that we'd be talking about him like that. But can't knock what we saw. It happened.
I thought he was going to be a receiving back, man. I mean, he had like 56 catches with Bo Nix at Oregon, and I was like, I think this dude just can be a receiving back, and then he comes in and just looks absolutely incredible running the football. I was like, oh, okay.
No, that's something. By the way, there's a running back this year named Raheem Sanders. He's getting the same Bucky treatment, in my opinion. And I liked him a lot at Arkansas. And his like body and build definitely could translate to the next level. So I've seen him really low on some people's lists. So I think he's a guy that we should be looking out for. But we'll get back to rookies a different time. On to pick 16. we're going to go back to the wide receiver pool. I can't knock him until we see it completely, but I'm going to go Drake London. With the combined Cousins, Penix, he had a pretty okay season. I wouldn't consider it like the best of work, but also like what a weird offense that was the entire year, because like the highs were extremely high, but the lows, which is what this offense was at times, like were really low. But I don't think going forward, any offensive coordinator can fool themselves and not think that Drake London's not the number one option on this team. A guy that Penix should be targeting 11 to 12 times every game at minimum. And I think with that kind of target capital, you can't not take him this high, because even if he catches 8 balls and he goes for 90 yards in PPR, that's 17 points. But like if that's his floor, I mean, what are we doing? Like that's exactly what you want, especially in a second round pick.
No, absolutely. And I mean, he had 9 games with over 10 targets last year. That is their plan for the offense. He has the Cooper Kupp-esque role for Robinson here. But, I mean, his last 2 games with Penix, he had, 20? I'll lose my mind. Is that 30? 31 targets the last 2 games he played with Penix. Granted, both of those were overtime games, but
right.
I mean,
but still,
that sort of target volume is absolutely insane. So, yes, we love Drake London here on this show.
Yep. Would be a good player to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. That would be funny. BTJ and Drake London. I like that start.
No.
Didn't hate that.
No, not at all. Oh, man. I got to go AJ Brown. The problem is, and the Eagles showed it in the Super Bowl. I mean, they basically, Saquon was the centerpiece the entire year, and then Saquon gets shut down, and they beat you with Hurts, Brown. Devonta Smith had a beautiful catch. The only problem with the AJ Brown pick, when he hits, he hits. When he doesn't, he is essentially non-existent because they don't need him. So his floor is not where you want it to be, but his ceiling is off the charts, and he's still 28 years old. Don't know when his birthday is, so he could be 29 going into the season. But the game that AJ Brown plays is one that can transfer into, 32, 33. He's better than Adam Thielen, and Adam Thielen's still doing it. So give me AJ Brown.
That's true. No, I like AJ Brown a lot. I did trade him away in Dynasty this offseason to get into this draft because I wanted a top 5 pick, and apparently that price was AJ Brown. But like if you have him, you know what you're getting. Like you know what you're getting. Like you don't have to worry about it. I am a little concerned that the target share might start favoring Devonta Smith a little bit. Which that's not a knock to AJ Brown. It's just like I've liked a little bit more what I've been seeing with Devonta Smith. So I'm interested to see how that's going to shake out going into this next season. Especially losing the offensive coordinator, which just throws a complete wrench into like what is this going to look like now, But I mean, AJ Brown's a solid wide receiver. We haven't doubted him. This podcast has liked AJ Brown since he was with Tennessee. We were just hoping they could see him, and they didn't. So they traded him away.
They did not. Oh, just to circle back to the Super Bowl real quick, since we're talking about the Eagles. The one person that bet Jahan Dotson to have the first touchdown had to be sick to their stomach when that guy called.
Bro, it was 85-1.
I didn't know the odds.
I was about to put him. I almost did his longest reception bet because that's the bets I'm a fiend for at this point was 3.5 yards, and I didn't bet it because I was just like, I'm gonna look like an idiot if I have the Jahan Dotson ticket. But boy, I would have been pissed if I had the Jahan Dotson, especially first touchdown was 85-1. I think anytime was like 30-1. And I'd be sick to my stomach if I had that ticket. Like, I think you almost should just get your money back. Just call it a wash. It wasn't his fault. Just is what it is.
I was talking to my dad, and he was like, I said, well, I think the Chiefs are going to sell out to stop Saquon. They have to. And then I was like, the question is, who do the Eagles lean on? And then we threw it to fucking Jahan Dotson. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is how this is going to go. But funny stuff.
Dotson being on the team's wild. Dotson being a Super Bowl champion, also wild. But here we are. All right, pick 18 in this draft to pair with Bijan Robinson. I'm going to go. I would say this is off the board, but I actually don't think it is. I'm going to go Lad McConkey for the Chargers. I think what we saw from him this season is kind of what exactly we thought his role in his offense was going to be. Like, they didn't really have that much of a run game, so they just kind of dinked and dunked the pass down the field. But I actually kind of liked what I saw in his mid-range game, like the 15 yards over the middle type stuff. That is what I was most impressed with from McConkey. And I just don't see how you don't have him this high. With the amount of targets and amount of receptions he gets per game, especially if you're talking a PPR league, he might even be higher than what we have him. But just for the sheer sake of we need to see a bunch more of it first. I think I'd be comfortable having him here, and I would feel very good about a Bijan Robinson, Lad McConkey team.
That would be phenomenal. And yeah, Lad McConkey is unreal. I doubted him for a little bit, but
I mean, I did too. I fully was like, I don't know. I even watched him at the Senior Bowl, and I was like, I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, he looks really good. I would have never guessed how amazing he was going to be. He looked like a Julian Edelman out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the guy he's going to be for the rest of his career.
Yeah. Just those scrappy wide receivers.
Yep. Gym rats.
Gym rats. Oh shit. That's so funny. Guy, what was the first pick here for this one?
Puka.
Ooh, that kind of opens things up a little bit. Oh God, I really don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Okay. I like this.
You know what? I'm going to do it.
I know who you want to go with.
Does his name start with T?
Do it. Yeah, it sure does. Sure does.
Just
put him down here, Joe. We know I wasn't going to take him, so I mean, you might as well.
Yeah, okay. So I will go with T. Higgins here because T. Higgins is going to the moon this year. You missed the buying opportunity last year. I tried telling everybody. They didn't listen. T. Higgins going to finally be the number one. Watch those soft tissue injuries just magically float away. Just watch. He's going to be an absolute monster on whatever team he goes to. And he's only 26 years old, absolutely in the prime of his career. So give me T. Higgins here.
Okay. I knew this is where we were headed. I was looking at who the list of players we still had on the board was, and I saw his name, and I'm like, oh no. I know where Joe's headed with this. So here's the only, a little bit of pushback, and it's just what it is at this point. We've already had, if I had more time on my hands, I would go through and just splice up all of the clips of you talking about T. Higgins so that we could play it after the season, good or bad, whatever happens. But I just if he stays with the Bengals, which is what Joe Burrow's pushing for, I would not like him at this spot. And if he goes to another team, we have to hope that quarterback is on the same level as Joe Burrow just to get that kind of. I just don't know. I don't know how he returns this value, but at the same time, I could be proven just as wrong as you could be proven if it goes the other way. So I don't want to say too much, but okay, we'll do the T. Higgins thing. We will keep pretending he's played a whole season a bunch of times in his career. We'll do the whole thing.
We will.
Okay.
I'm here for it.
All right.
T. Higgins is going to the moon.
I mean, luckily you have Puka Nacua, so you have another guy that's, a little bit injury prone. So this will just be an injury prone
gladiator team.
One of these guys will be on IR the whole season. You just don't know. You have to keep flipping them back on and off the whole time. All right. Moving on to pick 20, pairing with Jahmyr Gibbs. This team's going to be a running back team. We're going to go with Devon Achane. I am literally one of the co-founding chairman members of the Devon Achane hate club.
I was there with you.
I can't knock what he's doing. With Tua there at the same time, as long as Tua is actually playing the sport at the same time as Devon Achane playing the sport, it's incredible. I love everything about it. He could easily have 30 points almost every game. It feels like almost like they hold back sometimes from letting him reach his full potential. I'm not going to knock it anymore. I'm just going to steer into the skid. He's clearly good with this one specific type of offense, and they clearly have kept him from getting the massive major injury that we keep thinking is going to happen. It's like an earthquake, like the seismograph just like slowly, makes a little mark here and there, but
He's
never actually fully. It's never fully the big one that we keep worrying about is going to happen with our tinfoil hats. So, I mean, until it happens, don't bet against it. You're getting him to match with Jahmyr Gibbs on this dynasty startup. I think that is an incredible team to build around right there. So, okay, fine. We'll do it. Devon Achane is my pick at 20.
I love it. Devon, New Madrid Fault, Achane. Fucking 80 receptions, 12 touchdowns, 12 carries a game. It's so efficient, and I hate it, but I'll go with it.
It doesn't make sense, Joe. It's just not what we've learned over the years. It doesn't work like this.
It doesn't. It's breaking the matrix, man. I don't know what happens in the future here. Damn, Billy, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna go Marvin Harrison. I can't quit it.
Okay.
I don't want to go.
This is a good spot to get him. Pair him with Neighbors, which was hilarious, by the way.
That far down. I still believe. I mean, we know Marvin Harrison's fantastic. Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison was fantastic. We know Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be fantastic. It's just this Arizona offense is just disgusting to watch. It runs through Trey McBride. I don't see that changing. You can make the case to take McBride here if you really wanted to, and I would listen to it. But I'm betting on the talent, and I'm just going to assume that Kyler figures this out next year because it's scary. But to pair with Malik Neighbors, I will take Marvin Harrison here as my wide receiver too.
Okay, can't hate that. That's a good pick. I have no thoughts. Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, we just didn't see it in the first year. I think he's a perfect buy low opportunity, even though I don't even know if you can get him for low. I don't even know what low looks like right now. So that is interesting.
It'd be interesting to see what he's being traded for because I don't know.
True. All right, moving on to pick 22. I'm going to take Jackson Smith-Njigba. I know that you hate him right now, but it is what it is. He's going to be the number one on this offense before too long, especially with the DK rumors that are abound right now, with him potentially going to the Raiders or wherever. I just think that he's going to be the receiver one here before too long, and I want that right now. And so to pair him with CeeDee Lamb, I think that's a perfect conclusion.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We had LSU. Now we're going with Ohio State, guys.
Yep.
But no, JSN's awesome. That offense scares me, but he's 22. He's an absolute machine, and they will figure that out. So, yeah, go JSN.
Who are you pairing with Justin Jefferson?
I'm gonna go just like my actual team that I pride so much, and pair Justin Jefferson with Trey McBride. We're gonna go 2 Arizona Cardinals in the top 2 rounds because, I mean, Trey McBride, like I said, the offense runs through him. He's 25. We don't necessarily like seeing that, but he's still young. He's got 5 good years left on this offense, and he's going to score more touchdowns next year. There's no way that he only has 3 like he had this year, 2, 1, whatever the hell it was.
I think you're right. No, I have no qualms with that. You're getting a stalwart running or tight end, and then you're going to get in 2 picks later to pick something else, so you can get a running back then, as they seem to be falling down the board a little bit. All right, now this last pick, I'm going to make the obvious one, or at least what I consider the obvious one, but I do want to talk about who I would pick after this too, just because we're only doing 2 rounds today, so I do want to touch on that. But my next pick is going to be Jonathan Taylor. I feel like that's what I would consider a pretty obvious pick, but I mean, maybe you wouldn't. But pairing Jamar Chase with Jonathan Taylor, I mean, that is exactly what would have been impossible 2 years ago, but now it is completely possible just based on how things have shook out. But you're getting a good running back. You're getting a solid team start with. He is 26, so I get it. He's getting past the age of no return, according to Joe. Even though you've come back to the older wide receiver recently, or the older running back recently, so maybe this is right about the age that you want to get him. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor, solid pick for I think this. I think it's kind of a boring one, but it is what it is.
That's not boring. I mean, his playoff performance was ridiculous and should probably go down as some of the best stretch of playoff performances from running back that we've had recently. So JT's still got it. I mean, they're going to bring in competition for Anthony Richardson, so I hope that helps. We assume they're going to take one of these stud tight ends. The receiving core is ridiculous. The line's good. Jonathan Taylor's a great pick here. Who do you follow this up with, though?
So I wanted to pick. Taylor. So I wanted this to be the pick so that we could talk, do the flashy thing, but just couldn't bring myself to leave Jonathan Taylor on the board, have somebody listen to the podcast and be like, wow, these idiots didn't pick Jonathan Taylor. That's weird. Which we didn't pick Garrett Wilson, by the way, but there's a lot of going on there that I need to see first before I'm dynasty buying that.
So scared.
I'd pick Jaden Daniels. I would. I know that's crazy because it's one QB, but just based on what you're getting from the rushing alone is insanity. And I think he is going to be the quarterback one next year over Allen. I think that's 100%. Because again, we say this every year, Joe, and I feel like we're just talking into the ether and nobody's listening to us, which maybe that's the case. I don't know. Thank you, listeners, if you're out there. But they can't keep doing the style of offense that they run with Josh Allen. They have to do something different. Do something different. And they don't. And I know that it's like, oh, well, we don't have any receivers. You're all the ones that brought in Amari Cooper, didn't use him. You're all the ones that drafted Keon Coleman. He sucks. Like, who told you to do that? Wasn't us. Like, it was you all that did that. So eventually we're going to have to do something different there. And Josh Allen can't keep playing the way that he's playing. However, Jaden Daniels can, because that's what works and that's what's winning. And so I think that Jaden Daniels is going to have to, I don't know, he's going to be a guy for the next couple of years here, and I want him to be a part of my team with Jamar Chase and Jonathan Taylor.
Like that, Jamar Chase, JT, Jaden Daniels, that would be fantastic. I would totally do that.
I would love that build. All this has made me want to do, by the way, is do a dynasty startup, but we're already in like 45 leagues, and I don't want to do another one.
We should. We really should.
Yeah, we're probably going to, sadly. What about a dynasty? What is that? A guillotine league?
A dynasty.
You know how crazy that would be? You would find out week 1 who has pick 1.
Yeah.
Like, you would literally find out the first week of the season who would be the first pick in next year's draft. Or maybe you play a couple weeks and then you would start doing that.
How do they get their team back, though?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, maybe we could just
number one
cut them. Well, maybe you just cut them out of the league. Like, they just are not playing anymore. Like, they keep their team, but they would just cut them out completely. Like, they wouldn't be able to play. And you would just take the highest scores each week or something.
Ooh, I like that.
I don't know. We're in this development stage, but I don't know. I
kind of want to throw the first game. I would totally throw the first
game.
Just
to get the first pick in the next year's draft.
Draft a stack team, throw the thing, and get the number 1 pick next year. It'd be beautiful.
I mean, it's definitely a strategy. But see, like that I think that would be the beauty of it, because everybody would be playing a different thought process. Like, if one of your or two of your star players were done by week 7, it's like, well, shit, I need a better draft pick, so I'm just going to throw this week and get out so I can just build a good draft spot.
There's
for
something
the
here,
season.
man. I do not hate this at all.
It would be fun. I do think, like, with a guillotine league, though, like, the not throwing someone back is kind of like, I think like that's just a part of it. So you got to do something there. But
you dump the taxi squad.
Oh yeah, I guess you could do that. Dump their taxi squad onto waivers. That's interesting. That could be very interesting. I have like the no bench league that we did one time. That was a fun experiment, because people were having to like drop star players after they would get hurt or out, or they would just take the loss and have that as a 0 for the week.
Yeah, that was pretty annoying, but I loved it.
See, I don't know. I'm into that kind of like weird styles of fantasy football.
I could be the fantasy hoarder though, because like I will take a 0 4 weeks in a row before I drop a good player. Like, call me old school, but
I mean, fair enough. You are choosing to either lose that week or win that week. That's all on you.
Crazy.
But okay, well, that is our draft. I will quickly read out the names. Usually we have Josh read them out, but I'm just going to burn through it real quick and we can get out of here. First pick was Jamar Chase. Second pick, Justin Jefferson. Third pick was CD Lamb. Fourth pick, Malik Neighbors. Fifth pick was Jahmyr Gibbs. Sixth pick was Puka Nacua. Seventh pick was Bijan Robinson. 8 was Amon-Ra St. Brown. 9 was Brian Thomas Jr. 10 was Saquon Barkley. 11, Ashton Jeanty. 12, Nico Collins. That was our first round. Second round, Breece Hall was pick 13. Pick 14 was Brock Bowers. 15, Bucky Irving. 16, Drake London. 17, A.J. Brown. 18, Ladd McConkey. 19, T. Higgins. 20, Devon A-Chain. 21, Marvin Harrison Jr. 22, Jackson Smith and Jigba. 23, Trey McBride. And 24 was Jonathan Taylor. We've already talked about Jaden Daniels and Garrett Wilson. Joe, is there anyone else that you are kind of surprised maybe that wasn't in the top 24 there?
I mean, there's some guys I would like to make the case for. I would like to make the case for Rome. I do think he becomes a wide receiver 1 sooner rather than later. We have to see what happens with Rashee Rice, because if somehow he's recovered from his ACL and he has no legal troubles, he will definitely be in the top 24. So definitely monitor that. And you can make the case for any of those quarterbacks that we discussed. I mean, Hurts, Allen, Daniels, Jackson, whatever you want to do. They could all be
there's only 2 players I would fight for, maybe, and one's Kyren Williams. I know that they're going to try to use the second running back a little bit more to take a little bit off the burden of Kyren, but I think if you got him as your second round pick, I would not be mad about that at all. And then the other one, which is pretty low on a lot of people's list, is DK Metcalf, just simply because, like, if he's not on Seattle next season, like say they put him on the Raiders or he is traded somewhere else, I don't even know where. I'm not even going to fathom it because that's weird. But he could easily be a number 1. He's 27. He's still got a couple years left here to like really make some good headway as far as your potential wide receiver 1. And, ended up with him in the second round, I wouldn't be mad about it right now, just based on not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I like that too. I mean, if I had to promote 2 people possibly, it'd be James Cook. I mean, we talked about A-Chain being extremely efficient. James Cook could be that guy too. And I really, really, really have a hard time talking myself out of Chase Brown. I have tried it a lot. I cannot do it. He looked really good, guys. I know there's a lot of disbelief with Chase Brown, but I don't see them investing heavily. I mean, we heard Hendrickson wants out. We heard Pratt wants out. We'll see what happens with Higgins and Gesicki. And they got to sign Jamar Chase. I mean, this team is in a lot of trouble, so I don't think running back is too high on their list. So Chase Brown could run it back this year.
I think it's the name. It's a boring name. That's unfortunate for him. It's a boring name, Chase Brown. And 2, I think you are correct, I do think they will invest something in the running back position, and that is the only thing that scares me slightly because it's just adding another factor in there. But can't knock what he did this year. I mean, at all. Like if we walked away, if we're talking about this in May and we're talking about how like, wow, I can't believe the Bengals didn't take anyone. When you go, duh, I told you this in February, I won't be surprised. How about let's put it that way? When we have this conversation and I say I'm surprised and you go, you shouldn't be, I will remember back to this day that we did this podcast and be like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have been surprised. You've been saying it all along.
Back in February 12th.
Yep. Well, we'll write it down. But okay. Well, that's all we got for this week. Dynasty mock draft, 2 rounds. I like doing these mock drafts, man. It's a lot of fun. We'll have to do more. All right. Next week is one of our favorite podcasts of the offseason. It's the 2025 offseason Dynasty buys and sells. Yes. This is always a fire podcast every year. We have been right a lot by the way, in these podcasts. So I might even drum up like a couple of what our past couple buys and sells like podcasts, like what we said, and see just how right or wrong we were, and we can talk about it. But that'll be our next one, and then it's pretty much all draft stuff after that. We'll have the free agency in March for a couple weeks, but mainly we're going to be talking about draft stuff after that. So,
yeah,
are you excited, Joe? Excited?
Yeah, I do. We're like 80 days from the draft. It's
hard
crazy.
to believe. The NFL Combine's in like 2 weeks.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's definitely.
How many days? Until
April. Let's say it's April 4th. Yeah.
71 days until the draft. So, yeah, this is my favorite time of year. I love it. I'm giddy.
Yes, me too. I definitely can't wait for the Combine. I made so much money on last year's Combine betting it on Prize Picks that like now I'm just excited. Like Xavier Worthy, I love you. You made me so much money last season. You broke that record, and I had like the below whatever their set thing was, and he made me so much money last season. And I just can't wait to bet the Combine again. By the way, Missouri, can we hurry up and get sports betting ready? Like I'm ready to not have to travel to Illinois when I want to make a bet. Like let's go. I know they said it's probably going to be around football season, but I don't know. Maybe a little sooner than that would be nice.
Yeah, I would love if we could catch some for the NBA, and at least a couple of the majors in golf would be awesome. I'm not trying to bet the FedEx Cup. You know, we got to bet the majors. So
I get it. Yeah, looks like it's going to be July, August, something like that.
Ugh.
All right. That's all we got for this week. Josh will maybe be back next week, question mark. We'll see how the child's birthday goes this weekend. Maybe it's going to be rowdier than the Super Bowl. When? Who knows?
Well, you know, Ozzy gets a full week celebration, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I want to know, had the Super Bowl fallen on Ozzy's birthday, who would have gotten the prime spot on that one? Would we celebrate the birthday? We celebrate the Super Bowl? Like,
he would have gotten the fourth quarter. As soon as the Gatorade was dumped, it would have been all Ozzy. But you know,
nice. That's right. Everyone start blowing out candles. Okay, that's all I got this week. Joe, get us out of here.
Good night.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.